I don't know how to start this, but I really love bread, and super fluffy dinner rolls are one of my favorite kinds. This whole recipe is written with grams. You can look up the conversions if you want, but in my opinion, if you're gonna spend a lot of time baking, buy a $20 kitchen scale and use it because you're gonna have a lot better results all the time. Anyway, here we go. First thing you need to do is get your yeast ready. If your yeast isn't properly active, then you're never gonna get bread to rise. So heat your milk and water to the indicated temperature on your yeast package, and then add 1 packet or 2 teaspoons with a little bit of sugar to your liquid. Stir it up and let it sit on the counter for about 10 minutes until it starts foaming. So these buns are a variation of milk bread, and for milk bread we need something called a Tangzhong. This is gonna be water, milk, and flour heated and stirred together until it thickens up almost like mashed potatoes. Do this on a medium heat, and it should only take about 2 to 3 minutes until it thickens up and looks kind of creamy like this, and then just set it aside to cool for a few minutes. By now the yeast is nice and foamy, and it's time to start mixing everything together. As always, ingredients are in the description, but you're going to go in with the yeast mixture, the Tangzhong, which is now nice and thick like mashed potatoes, followed by white granulated sugar, an 8-ounce container of sour cream, 2 eggs or 2 opportunities to practice cracking one-handed, and finally some salt and bread flour. And now just mix for about 5 minutes until it's cohesive, slowly incorporate your butter, and mix for a few more minutes. The dough might be a little bit sticky right now, and having a bowl scraper like this is going to come in handy. Turn the dough out onto the counter, get every last bit out, clean bowl! And now you want to get this dough into a ball. When you have dough that's a little bit sticky, you need a couple of techniques to help you out. This one's called the slap and fold. So you're just going to slap one side of the dough down, fold it over, turn it 90 degrees, and keep doing that until the outside forms a smooth surface. At this point, you can use your bowl scraper to help you actually shape it into a circular ball. For best results, let it rest for about 5 minutes on the counter and do a few more slap and folds. Now we're talking. There's just something so satisfying about when this dough is soft and elastic. Smoother than a baby's bottom. And now just grease up a bowl, maybe put a little bit of oil on the top of the dough, plop it into said bowl, and let it rise for 1 to 2 hours until it's about doubled in size. And now that you spent this time with care and finesse, it's time to admire the dough and then just beat the shit out of it. Go around and pull the sides away from the bowl so that it's not stuck to it. I personally like to have all of these be exactly the same size, so I measure the weight of the full amount of dough, figure out how many buns I want, and then divide the full number by that number and make sure that they're all perfectly even. With this recipe, I'll either do 12 or 24 rolls. This time I'm going for 12, and if you just want to eyeball this, that's also fine with me. Just so you know, it only took me like 3 minutes to use the scale. When those are all divided, grab your baking dish and a stick of butter and just go to town buttering that bad boy up. Now for the final shaping, you're just going to flatten this out, tuck all of the sides in 4, 6, 8 times, flip it over, and then use the stickiness of the bottom of the dough and your hand is kind of like a cage to form it into a perfect ball. This might take a little bit of practice, but I promise you'll get the hang of it with time. One more time, moving a little bit faster, flatten it out, tuck in the sides, roll in the sides of the dough, and this whole thing will take 10 seconds or less per roll when you know what you're doing. Now that all of your balls are balled up and perfectly aligned in your baking dish, it's time to let them rise one more time. So I just like to slap the top onto this, and we're gonna let them rise for 45 to 60 minutes until they've pretty much doubled in size again. My, you've grown up. Finally, we're gonna need an egg wash, which is 1 egg and maybe a teaspoon of water mixed together, and brush the tops of these with a nice even coat of your egg wash. And then these are going into a 375-degree Fahrenheit oven for 25 to 30 minutes until they just look absolutely gorgeous. And then while these are hot and fresh out of the oven, you gotta do one more thing. This is optional but highly recommended, especially if you're gonna be eating these just as rolls. You're gonna paint some butter over the top and finish with flaky salt. And this is why I absolutely love baking. When you get to this point and they just look beautiful, it makes everything feel totally worth it. Let them cool on the counter for at least a few minutes so that they're not just crazy stupid hot. Open them up, watch the steam come out, appreciate how fluffy they are, and sit down to eat. Hello. This, my friends, this is what it's all about. They're amazing by themselves, but what if we put honey butter on the inside? God, that's good. Sorry for talking with food in my mouth, but this is just so good. These are one of my favorite things I've ever made. These are best fresh out of the oven. If you're not gonna eat all of these right now, I unfortunately am not. Before they totally cool down, if you can get them into an airtight container, that'll help them stay nice and fluffy and moist. I guess that's it for this one. Hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.